have an iMac computer, but you have a cell phone. Maybe you have an Apple cell phone. Leverage that to then create what you find important.
Media literacy. How do we make sure that our children, what they're learning is positive?
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of Boss Up, where we talk about how to start, grow, and sustain your business. I'm Nicole Jones, and today I have with me two very special guests. This is a new one for me. I've only had one guest at a time, but I have with me Alesia Crosby Johnson, the founder of Kid Video Connection, and then we also have Janae Banks, who is one of the students of the program. So welcome, you guys.
Well, thank you for inviting us.
I'm excited that you guys are here. So I want to get this started because we're in this space where we are living in a digital age. As we know, media has not stopped when it comes to entertainment, people being on YouTube, influencers, so on and so forth. So the fact that you're in this space is just pivotal and will continue to circulate new and amazing students like Janae here. So can you tell us more about how you got your start with Kids Video Connection?
Kids Video Connection, we're an educational media arts organization, and we specialize in teaching children media literacy. And media literacy is learning how to analyze, evaluate, and understand media. And we teach children that because we want to help children make better or wiser media choices.
Yeah.
Because everything we see, everything we interact with on the internet or listen to affects how we think. And several years ago when I started Kids Video Connection, I was volunteering at a Saturday school with children in the inner city. And at that time, we were inviting people to talk about their careers. And this day, I was talking about my career. I worked at Channel 16, which was Fulton County Educational and Government Station. And I asked the children, what is your favorite program? All these little hands went up. Well, one little boy, both his hands went up. He said, oh, Miss Johnson, my favorite show is WWF. And I didn't know what that was. His sister said, Miss Johnson, that's wrestling. A light bulb went off in my head because this little boy was getting in trouble at school and with his Saturday school program because he was putting children in headlocks and trying to flip them.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
And after he told me, I was like, oh, my goodness, this is really affecting this little boy. He said he watched it every day. So I asked all the children in the classroom, I said, what's your favorite program? I went back home and I started studying these programs, these cartoons. And I realized that the children were trying to emulate their favorite characters. They were trying to walk like them, talk like them, and even fight like them. And since I worked in media, I said, you know what, I need to start teaching children about media and how it can affect how they think.
Yeah, that's key. That is key because you want to be able to start early. As we know, kids just emulate, like you said, what they see on TV, what they learn, and they think it's right because it's what they watch. So you being able to guide them and help them narrate what you're watching on TV may not necessarily be the most positive outlet. Let's look at this in a different lens, so to speak.
And we teach them that through video production.
Yeah.
So in all of our workshops, we conduct workshops at schools, libraries, and summer camps.
Yep.
And the children produce their own video projects. For example, we teach them when you're looking at different camera angles. If, for example, if you shoot someone up, you make them look larger than life. If you shoot them down, that makes them look small.
Wow.
So we teach them, and when you're watching TV, there are subtle things, even the close-up of your face, the way that they may pan the camera. So we teach the children how to produce their own video projects and the video production process. So as they're learning that, they're learning how all media messages are constructed to make you think a certain way.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's amazing. Janae, you're one of the students. Tell us a little bit about your start in the program.
Well, I think I started when I was about 12 or 13 years old, and I remember, like you said before, that I was not old enough for the program. I think the starting age was 13 and I was 12. And so I think my parents were like, oh, please, let her get it. She's very mature for her age, and which I was. And I finally got into the class, and it was so interesting. We got to go behind the camera, see how camera movements work, and the script writing, how you can convey a certain message in
Nice.
different things that you watch and that you see on television.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And today you are how old?
16 years old.
So you've been in the program since you were 12.
Yes.
And now here you are on stage
Yes.
talking about your experience. What a full circle moment.
I know.
Name one thing that you like currently in your program right now, something that's exciting.
Well, for me, like, it's the growth that I get to experience, like how I started just learning, and now I'm taking part in it. Like, I
Yeah.
got to be a producer for a recent film that we did for some workshops that we were working on, and it was very enlightening, and I got to learn what it's like to be a producer. It's a little bit more behind the scenes, and you gotta do a lot of planning and giving advice and helping others to
Yeah.
create a masterpiece of a film or TV show or whatever you're working on.
That is amazing. I love that. Alicia, that's fabulous. When you think about the growth of a company, especially a nonprofit and everything that you've been able to pull together, this is like an example of the growth of your program.
And it's wonderful
I
to
mean,
see
it's a
that.
perfect example. Is there anything else that you want to share in terms of like how this organization is growing from when you were in that classroom and that student was discussing WWF and then a light bulb went off for you until today's moment when you have your student is next to you on stage? That's amazing. How does that feel, and what other growth opportunities are happening for Kids
Well,
Connection?
I thank God for the opportunity. After I left Channel 16, I was offered a job with Turner Broadcasting. And in the interview, God told me no, because he said, I want you to do something else. And it was so hard because I really wanted that job. But I realized that God was calling me to do something else. And while I was working at Channel 16, there was a young African-American young man. He was about 19 years old. And he saw us, we were producing a project. And he saw me walking. At that time, I was in my mid-20s. And he said, well, ma'am, can I get an internship and work with you all? And I said, well, let me check with the station manager. And the manager said, Alicia's here in college. So I did ask, and he said, no, ma'am, I'm not in college. But he said, I'm willing to work hard. And my manager said, if he's not in college, he can't work at the station, he can't get an internship. The young man came back a second time. He said, ma'am, can you ask your manager, I volunteer, I'll do whatever you all need me to do. I asked the manager again. Second time, he said no. The young man came back a third time.
Wow.
And he said, ma'am, can you just try to see if I can work at the station? I went back and I asked the manager, I said, I'll take responsibility for him. And the manager said no. I walked out the studio and I said, no. He said, you can't. He said, because you need to be a college student. I saw tears in this young man's eyes. And I said, if I ever have the opportunity to start a program to help young, especially African-American males,
for sure,
learn, I would start a program. So this has been a journey for me. One thing that I want to just say, the people, some of the media professionals in Atlanta have been very helpful. Some of our instructors, they work at Channel 2, Channel 5, and they just come out and they help teach some of the workshops. And we also receive grants. And that's one of the key things for a nonprofit organization, to make sure you have partners.
Yeah.
And they work on grants. Georgia Council for the Arts, we normally get a grant from them every year, 2 grants. And also we have grants from the Tyler Perry Foundation. And one of our partners is the DeKalb Entertainment Commission. So one of the key things when you're starting a nonprofit is to get partners in the community and work on getting grants.
That's amazing. And when you think about growth, funding is definitely a part of that. It's not just the growth of the organization, the members that are a part of this nonprofit, but it's also the funding. And sometimes that can be challenging, that can be difficult. Can you explain like how that process for you was when it came to the funding aspect, or did it come somewhat naturally because they were seeking programs like this?
It was a challenge, but we were fortunate enough, the first grant that I wrote, we actually got that grant. That was from the DeKalb Art Council, and that was several years ago. I actually prayed. I said, Lord, I need some assistance here. But as I said, some of my colleagues that worked in media, different stations, they volunteered their time. So when we first started, most of the instructors were volunteers. But over the years, we were able to get more grant funding so we can pay our instructors. So there is a challenge, but also in addition to that, getting sponsors.
Okay.
And I know Comcast at one time, they sponsored our annual Children's Film Festival.
Nice.
So we, in addition to conducting our video production workshops, we also have an annual Children's Film Festival. And this year is going to be in July. And we have some wonderful people that'll be teaching the children. We have Miss Jan Mullins. She is one of the directors. She's produced several commercials, one for OWN TV,
Yeah.
BET. In addition to that, we have Elise Lewis. And Elise Lewis is an
Wow.
Emmy Award-winning animator, African-American female animator. So she's been working with us for several years. She volunteers her time during the summer to teach the children animation. So we
That's
have a group of people that
amazing.
just support us, and we're just very grateful. Thank God, first of all.
Yeah, yeah,
For the
yeah.
support.
That is amazing. And the fact that, how long have you guys been doing the film festival?
This will be the 15th year, so we're celebrating 15 years.
Oh my goodness.
So we get films from all over the world. We showcase films produced by youth. In addition to that, we help promote films produced by independent filmmakers. So the purpose of the festival is to promote positive children's programming.
Yep.
That key things going back to media literacy. How do we make sure that our children, what they're learning is positive?
Yeah.
So they could produce positive media.
I love that. I love, and the fact that you guys spearhead that is amazing, because I think we all, or most of us, are aware there's the Atlanta Film Festival, and there's different film festivals that happen here in Atlanta, just because now we've just become the Black Mecca, the Black Hollywood, if you will. So the fact that the youth also has a chance to feel like they're a part of something big like that, and almost feel like an Oscar or Emmy of their own, to have that moment to showcase their own work is just, that's just amazing. That's groundbreaking.
I know Janae, she produced our student film. What was the title? She gave the new Aliens Encounter.
The Aliens Encounter.
Can you tell us a little bit about that film?
Well, the film starts off with aliens wanting to know more about Earth. And so me and my friends decide to show them different videos of what you can learn about Earth and what's so great about Earth. And that it's not all fear and hate and division, and it's not all bad. There's things like art and music and dancing and special things that we can appreciate on Earth. And then the aliens decide to take that in and decide, well, maybe Earth isn't all that bad.
That's amazing. That's a prime example of what you shared earlier, Alicia, like being able to showcase positive imagery, positive messaging through your art and the media. Prime example of that actually just matriculating throughout your students.
Yeah, Janae did a wonderful job. She did the voiceover. The aliens, we had some animation. She did the voiceover. I think your brother also did the
Yeah,
voiceover.
he's really interested in acting, so I decided to give him that opportunity to do a little
Is it
something.
a younger brother or older brother?
Younger brother.
They always want to be involved in stuff, right?
Yeah.
That is so fabulous. And any other prime examples of just that growth from some of your students? I know you mentioned the young man who wanted to be a part of, of the network at the time before you started the program, and you're like, okay, going forward, I'm going to make sure this doesn't happen again, and I have a home for somebody like that. Any other examples of your students, or maybe even the teachers, in terms of like the growth and the power behind the organization of Video Kids Connection?
Well, one of our first students in our teen program, we received a grant from Best Buy Foundation, and we conducted a workshop at the DeKalb County Public Library. And one of our students, she graduated from Georgia State as a broadcast
So did
major. But she said because I think she was 15 at the time, and she said when she took the workshop, she was looking for different video production workshops, but they were so expensive, $500, $2,000.
it can be
And our workshop was free at the library because we received a grant. And after taking that workshop, she became an intern at Kids Video Connection, and she went on to Georgia State and majored in broadcast journalism.
Wow.
She actually has her master's in business communications, and she produces videos
That
for
is fabulous.
small businesses. So, and she's on our board now. She lives in Texas, but she said because it really influenced her in such a positive way, she volunteers and she helps on our board, and she flies down every summer to actually volunteer for the Atlanta Children's Film Festival.
Wow, that is amazing. You have a strong, strong network, clearly. People believe in what the message and the passion is behind how it impacts the kids in this program. That's amazing.
But one thing also, we try to make people understand how media really affects children. Especially social media now. If you look at, there has been an increase in suicide. In Georgia, the third leading cause of death for young people is suicide. And a lot of psychologists, they're doing research now. They're attributing part of that to social media. So we're doing research trying to find out what we can do to help and to learn more about that. One of our board members, Dr. Amy Aitman, she actually was the Film and Media Studies Director, formerly the Film Media and Studies Director at Emory. So she does a lot of research. She sends us information and data. But it's really interesting. We really encourage parents, especially if your children are little, you're the gatekeepers of your children's minds.
Yeah.
That you have to be aware and cognizant of what they're watching, what they're listening to, what they're interacting on the internet, because it will affect how they think. In all of our workshops, we teach the children this little poem. Watch your thoughts, because your thoughts become your words. Watch your words, because your words become your actions. Watch your actions, because your actions become your habits. And watch your habits, because your habits become your character. And most of all, watch your character, because your character becomes your destiny. And it starts in your mind, that mindset. Everything you see or interact with will affect how you think. And as the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So we have to be very aware, very cognizant of what we're allowing our children to watch and interact with.
No, that's amazing. That's heartfelt for sure. It's like an anthem that, you know, they would probably walk into each of your programs with and have that poem in their mindset to kind of set the tone for that day, that festival, as they're creating their work of art, like at home and developing things in After Effects or whatever iMovie programs that they're using, like to have that poem in the back of your mind to just kind of get you in that meditative state to say, I'm about to create greatness. So that's amazing.
But definitely one of my favorite moments of this season.
Oh my God.
Look, and Maria's turning red over here.
Right. He just went in on me for real. I'm like, oh my God.
How do you decide what is a priority at the moment versus something that you can complete at a later date?
What feels right in the moment? Because sometimes it's like, okay, this is really high on my priority list, but I really just don't feel like it. But I think that in order to be productive is like, do what's best for what you feel like in the moment. So if this easier task is easier for you, do that and then tackle the harder task.
In terms of, from the example that I was just describing, what systems, software, do they come to the program and able to use different cameras? Are they able to do things at home with certain softwares that you guys provide them? Like, what's the extent of video connection, kids' video connection?
We have equipment, some Panasonic cameras. They learn how to edit on, some of the students on iMovie, so basic editing. Also this summer, what I thought was this past summer, we actually were teaching our classes online due to COVID. And we taught the children how to use their iPhones. Each child had to use their own iPhone and record their own scenes and would send it to our editor. So Janae, would you like to just share with us what you learned in reference to shooting with your iPhone?
Well, not only iPhones, but we also used our tablets. Some people might have used their computers, but it's mainly just their phones or their tablets, you know, devices that they might have around their house, and just learning how simple it is. I think from this last workshop that we did was learning how simple it is to make videos and to create art just on like small devices that we have. We don't need a lot to make some great art with what we have.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Alicia. That just shows and helps kids make the connection that the accessibility can sometimes be right in front of you.
Correct.
Leverage what you have. You may not have an iMac computer, but you have a cell phone. Maybe you have an Apple cell phone. Leverage that to then create what you find important, what you want to put your message out, whether it's, hopefully it's positive. That's what we're shooting for. But being able to leverage the devices that we already have for them to then create works of art. And that sometimes, even if it feels like a hindrance because you don't have, the cameras that you just mentioned, or you don't have an iMac computer, it can literally be right in front of you, and you can create some fabulous material just by way of being in your own home. So that's amazing. That's amazing. Anything else in terms of like the growth factor or just the sustainability of your organization, like how that continues to grow and have legs and be able to support kids in the Atlanta area, across the globe, across the nation?
One thing I discovered that we really need positive children's programming. If you watch some things on TV today, some of them are not so positive, and how they can affect our children, their behavior. From doing some research recently in the juvenile detention centers, they're discovering that 50 to 70% of the children that are in the centers have mental illness.
Wow.
And they're working on, in the state of Georgia right now, trying to pass a bill to help children with mental illness. So we're really trying to go in that area. How can we help parents help their children that may be dealing with depression? I know I have three wonderful children.
Yeah.
And when my youngest son was in college, he actually called me one day. He said, "Mom, I'm depressed." And children are dealing with that. Those are the type of things we really need to look at in reference to how the media may affect how you think.
Yeah.
And I asked my son, "What do you do when you first wake up?" He said, "Mom, I'm looking at my social media, I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at my Instagram." And I said, "Well, stop that. Pray in the morning, meditate." And he called me a week later. He said, "You know, Mom, that did help." So I'm just encouraging parents to really talk to their children.
Yeah.
There's a concept in co-viewing, watching a TV show with your child and actually saying, how does this make you feel? Certain music can make you feel a certain way. Certain films, when you're watching, it could be dark and make you think a certain way. Because I don't like scary movies. Do you like scary movies?
No. Listen, if a commercial comes on, I'm turning it. All I need to hear is some daunting music, and I'm like, oh, nope, I'm not watching that. I can't deal with it. So I'm with you, yes.
And some children, they watch and they realize that, like, why am I feeling this way? So just being in touch with your emotions and helping children to understand that. It's really important for parents to be active in their children's life and really be the gatekeepers of their mind. We want to encourage parents to be the gatekeepers of your mind. But in addition to that, in an effort to produce positive programs, I started a for-profit business, Youth Learning Connection. And we're working on our first program, children's program, and hopefully the goal is for children to learn about living legends.
Wow.
For example, our children interviewed Congressman John Lewis.
Yes.
The late Congressman John Lewis. So we wanted children to...
His legacy is still alive.
It's still alive. We want them to learn about these wonderful people that have overcome so many adversities and how they learned and overcame these adversities. So we're learning about living legends. So I'm excited about the show. It's called Trey Shay's Legends Connection. It's about an African-American boy and his journey, and he goes back in time through animation and comes back and interviews the living legends. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, that is fabulous. Now, is that something that you're producing, or are the kids engaged and involved in that in any aspect, or is it just totally separate?
It's totally separate. That's a for-profit business. So I'm finding out that nonprofit and for-profit, they're both businesses, but how you actually run those businesses, you get tax breaks with a nonprofit. You need to get a 501c3. So just wanted to advise anyone that's really interested in starting their own nonprofit to help and serve in the community, they must have their 501c3.
In order to do that.
Yes.
Okay. And I guess on that point, from a business aspect, is there any other advice as you're juggling both a nonprofit and a for-profit business? When we think about the landscape, let's say somebody is trying to find themselves in the same situation that you're in with the businesses that you're balancing, is there any advice that you can offer for those just trying to start out in that space of wanting to do a 501c3 and a for-profit business, like in terms of either balancing both of those, getting started with those? Is there anything that you like to impart, some wisdom, some tips for those people?
Well, those are people that may be trying to start a 501c3 or nonprofit business, making sure that you have your vision and your mission clear. Because there's going to be days where you're going to have to work long hours, and you may not get paid at first.
Yeah.
But making sure that you're trying to reach and serve in the community and getting those partners to work with you and writing grants. You may have to hire a grant writer. I've been fortunate enough that I had a mentor that was a grant writer, and she helped me write my grants.
Nice.
So we were able to get several grants. Most
Yeah.
of our grants, we're celebrating our 16th year with KVC, but each year we've received several grants, and that has helped us
Oh,
tremendously.
that's fabulous.
With the with the for-profit, there have been some challenges. So I'm
You
trying
say
to
that with a graceful smile, for sure.
I'm trying to navigate that part, because we need to get investors.
Yeah, yeah.
So if there's anyone that would like to invest in the Positive Children's
Listen,
Program, please give us a call.
Come on, somebody. That's a plug.
But I have a wonderful director working with me, Mr. Benton Aladdin. He has
Oh,
really
yes,
encouraged
our
me
very
so
own
much.
Benton.
So I just really thank God for him. He's like an angel and
Yes,
has helped
truly.
encourage me. He is such a hard worker.
Definitely, definitely. There's something else that you just mentioned in that example, just sharing those tips. So thank you for that, and I'm sure the audience thanks you as well for that information. But you mentioned you had a mentor. How important and how critical has that been on your journey trying to balance the 501c3 and now your for-profit business?
I think having a mentor is very important because sometimes a mentor can see something in you that you may not see in yourself. And my mentor for my for-profit business and for nonprofit, Mr. Philip Saxton. Mr. Saxton was one of the first African-American salesmen for IBM. So he's like in his 70s. And he shared this story with me I thought was very interesting. I think in the 1960s, whenever he started working for IBM, he said he was the first African-American salesperson in his area, in his territory.
Wow.
And he said his manager looked at him and said, well, Phil, do you think you can sell $4 million? And he said, I'm going to try. I think I can.
Wow.
That year, he sold $8 million
Worth
of computers.
devices. Oh, my goodness. Wow.
And he was saying, what did you do differently? And he was telling me, helping your customers, not selling them a product, but seeing what is the need of your customers. Even if it's a nonprofit, what's the need of students like Janae? Janae wants to be a director one day.
Yeah, she will be. She's almost there.
So in 10 years from now, I'm sure we're gonna see her name in lights. But she wants to be, but how can we serve our students?
Yeah.
And even now, how can we serve in the for-profit? How can we work with networks and provide positive children's programming? My goal with that company, with Youth Learning Connection, is to produce programs that will give children hope and inspire them to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do we serve? And that was the key thing I learned from Mr. Saxton. You're not trying to sell a product. You're trying to provide a service to help people.
Yep. Yep. What's the transformational change that's going to happen for these people? It's not the, impulsive buying. It's the transformation. If you purchase this, this will happen. This will change your life in this way.
Correct.
I mean, she's on the stage already. Talk about transformation. Now, does your program offer any mentorships through the program as well, Alesia? Does it offer mentorships, like each student gets their individual mentor?
Right now, the students can apply to be an intern, and I could ask some of the people that work in the industry, can you assist that person? So that way, but they would have to ask, Ms. Johnson, can you help me get an intern?
I got you.
A mentor.
Yeah.
And I have mentored several of the young ladies that have gone through our program.
Oh, you're a mentor for everybody.
I don't think so.
You would be a mentor for
I
everybody
don't
in the
think so.
program. Everybody would look up to you because they're like, she led me to this way. She led me to this stage, or what have you. So you definitely probably have a special spot in everybody's heart.
Well, I want to thank God for giving me a mission, a purpose. And sometimes, as I mentioned before, when we look at careers, sometimes people could say, oh, I had a producer that was a friend of mine, and he works for one ABC. And when I resigned, and I didn't take the job returning broadcasting, he said, Alesia, what's wrong with you? Are you crazy? And sometimes that's in the back of my mind, because one of the challenges when you see some of your friends doing well at networks, and you're saying, okay, I'm just working at this, with this nonprofit, but being where God wants you to be. We all have a purpose.
Yes.
And it's challenging sometimes to say, okay, I could be doing that, but that's not my purpose. So walking your purpose, whatever business did you decide, is that where God wants you to be? So that's very crucial.
Very crucial. And he'll let you know too. If you ask, he will tell you. Even if you don't ask, he's gonna push you. So any final words, Janae? Anything that you want to share in terms of like encouraging other students to join the program or something about your experience?
Well, my experiences have been very great with the program, but I think the program is really for those who maybe aspire to be a director or an actor or an editor also, because that's something I'm also interested in. And to those who like want to challenge themselves in working with others, because that's also something that we do. We have to work with other people to create art, to create different films and things. And for those who want to learn about script writing and things like that, that's what the program is really good for. And of course, with your mentors and people teaching you, it's really a good inspiration for youth like myself or even younger with the program that KVC provides.
That is so awesome. I'm so proud of her. I just met her today, and I'm already proud of her. So,
She's wonderful. She's a wonderful young lady.
Alicia, anything else you want to just wrap up in terms of the both organizations? Anything you want to share? Any parting words?
We want to encourage people to come to the Atlanta Children's Film Festival. This year it's going to be July 7th through the 24th. And we have some great workshops, and we have our Film Festival Family Day, which will be at the Emory University. They're one of our partners also.
Nice. That's amazing.
Their Film and Media Studies Department. And we'll have, on that day, we'll have our media career fair. So all the children can come and they'll actually learn a little bit about the equipment, how to write a script, and they'll be on camera.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I'm sure a lot of people will be out there now because they're like, okay, I need to sign up today.
And thank you for having us on.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. I hope you learned a lot of information. It sounds like something that I should have been a part of as a kid, but still can be somewhat involved. So thank you guys. I hope you learned something in terms of being a student or just being a supporter or a sponsor for this particular program.